Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order and begin with our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island, and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island, and who have embraced this stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original people across Turtle Island. We'll now have a moment of silent reflection, followed by the playing of our national anthem. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Okay, if we can get an adoption of the agenda for the August 11th, 2026 regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Regis-Bagnol, support by Councillor Segan. All in favor? That carries. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? None. Adoption of the minutes of the closed and regular meetings of council held July 28th, 2026 be adopted as presented unless there's any questions or comments. Moved by Councillor Reno, support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? Carries. Mayor's comments, just a few. Tickets for Last Call Before Fall go on sale tomorrow afternoon. This is our end of summer celebration at the LaSalle Event Center, which takes place Friday, September 11th and Saturday, September 12th. Tickets are $25 per night, and both evenings will feature local beverages, food, and live entertainment. Friday night kicks off with DJ Curious George with a throwback featuring hits from across the decades. And on Saturday, we have Higgy Country Music taking the stage, bringing a mix of country storytelling and rock influences. The event will also feature vendors from the Barrels, Bottles, and Brews Trail and Epic Wineries. Tickets will be available at lasalletickets.ca beginning tomorrow afternoon. And just a reminder, tickets do tend to sell out. Next Monday is Mondays with the Mayor. Not next Monday. Sorry, Monday after that, the 24th, from 2 to 4 p.m. here at the Civic Center. No appointment is needed, but if you'd like to stop in for a face-to-face conversation, simply check in with reception when you arrive. No need for appointments, but if you can't come during that time, feel free to reach out and we'll schedule something else for you. This past weekend, it was a pleasure to represent LaSalle at the Caldwell First Nations second annual powwow. It was a wonderful celebration of culture, tradition, and community, and I appreciated the opportunity to take part in it. We continue to build and strengthen our relationships between LaSalle and Caldwell First Nation, and I look forward to continuing to work together. Finally, this weekend, members of council will be traveling to Ottawa for the Association of Municipalities of Ontario Conference. We have several delegations scheduled while we are there, providing us with an important opportunity to meet directly with provincial representatives and advocate for LaSalle's priorities and the needs of our residents. So I look forward to a productive few days and to bring those conversations back to council following the conference with an update as well on our delegations and what was presented. And that's all I have for comments. We don't have any public meetings in our hearings or presentations and delegations. So it's H1, which is a staff report, drain layer bylaw update. our Supervisor of Engineering, Mr. Bartlett.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. So today I'm going to be bringing the drain layer bylaw up for discussion. You may be wondering what exactly is a drain layer bylaw, because I know I was before I read it for the first time. The drain layer bylaw is used to license contractors that are working in the municipal right-of-way on municipal infrastructure. Basically, what it does is creates a list of pre-approved contractors that are allowed to work on municipal drains, culverts, ditches, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, water mains, or even just tying in for lot infills. The intention of having this drain layer bylaw allows the town to stay in control of the contractors that are working on our services, which provides high quality services, as well as makes sure that we have proper restoration of town property once their work is complete. This bylaw was last updated in 1985. So the intention tonight is to adopt the new bylaw, which has brought this updated and modernized version of the bylaw with clear definitions and requirements for contractors that want to be on the list. So I'll just kind of rifle through a couple of the main updates that we've done. So we've revised some of the wording of the definitions, the application requirements, enforcements, and penalties for being on this list. That includes increasing the security deposit that a contractor is required to submit with their application from $2,500 up to $7,500. That ensures that the right-of-way is restored properly, and once at the end of the year, they receive that money back unless they want to stay on the list for the next upcoming year. As well, we also require liability insurance for $2 million now. I believe it was previously $1 million. As well, the WSIB, which is a Workplace Safety Insurance Board, we now require that as a new insurance as well. The license now expires 1 year from the submission date, so from the application. Before, they would always expire on December 31st, so it made a little bit extra work or sometimes cost a contractor that would apply halfway through the year that would only last them halfway. Now it lasts a full year from the date of issuance. On the financial side, we've now omitted the fee from the bylaw. It was originally shown as $50 in the bylaw. We've now included that in the user fee bylaw so that it can be updated from time to time when all other fees are updated. The new fee that we are going forward with is $330 for each application, and that's again obviously per year. And that reflects what other municipalities in the area are also charging for the same contractor list. I'm available for any questions should you may have any. There's not too much else for me to state, but thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Members of council, do you have any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you through you to anyone in administration, and just to make sure they understand this, with the Buy Ontario legislation that the province has put in, does this apply to contractors as well? Not that I believe we're going to get any contractors from Alberta or from Newfoundland coming out here, but I just wanted to make sure I understood that those rules and regulations as they've come up in other meetings that the mayor and I have been in. So just looking for some clarification on that, please.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mara. I'm not sure if we have the answer, but.
Thank you. There's nothing in this bylaw that precludes other contractors, out-of-town contractors, but certainly with respect to the requirements and in the fees, we've never seen out-of-town contractors. It's typically contractors within Essex County. Again, there's not a lot of work that occurs under this program. For example, if somebody wants to do an ditch infill in front of their house, they complete the required application. Then we give them the list of contractors, and they typically go and choose from those contractors. Or if they have their own, then they subsequently apply and become part of the drain layer. But it typically has been local contractors that have been on this. But at this point, that's what we can offer.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Any other questions or comments? None. I think it's a great update. I mean, first of all, 1985, It's just yesterday. It's not that long ago. But I think the things you've added, like the liability insurance as well as the WSIB, are definitely things that we should have there and are only going to protect our municipality. So I thought it was a great report. Even the fee review, I wasn't sure at first at $330, but when you think of $50 back in 1980s, it is quite different. So I think it was a great report, and I have no other questions or comments, and I'll leave it to Council Burns.
1985 wasn't that long ago. That was the first campaign I ran for Bill Varga when he got reelected as Deputy Reeve. So do we do like to say, I want to fill my ditch in or that type of thing? Do we have preferred contractors who take a permit out like this and you say, here's a list of 1 to 5, choose who you want?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So yes, this list can be provided. So obviously we have the right-of-way permit that's also required for an owner, homeowner, or a contractor that's looking to do work within the right-of-way. So they'd be required to go through that process first. So for example, if it was a ditch infill, they would submit a right-of-way permit for that. They would get the information that they required. So for example, you would need a engineered drawing for the ditch infill, and there's a few other requirements that you would have as well. That then once they have that information and they're actually able to complete the work, then they can go about either picking one from the list that we provide them, or they can have a separate contractor submit to either become on the list or provide their insurance and the other requirements.
No other questions or comments? Councillor Burns? Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Reno. All in favor? Carries. Consent agenda has 6 items. Anything anyone wants to pull out and speak to specifically, or we can approve them all together? Moved. Councillor Carrick, support. Councillor Segan. All in favor? Carries. Committee matters. There aren't any to discuss today, but we go to questions and statements by council members. Councillor Carrick.
Sorry. Just one through you, your worship, to our deputy chief. Is there an update or anything we're doing moving forward with e-bikes, electrically propelled vehicles, scooters, etc.? Can we get an update on something like that? Because I know I asked the chief before, so I just want to follow up and see where it's at.
Okay, sorry about that. I purposely muted myself. As far as an update goes, recently we messaged the officers to focus on enforcement for power-assisted bicycle offenses and such. I don't have any numbers right now as far as like official stats, but I do know that enforcement is taking place right now. We are going to be using our social media platform for an education purpose. You have to appreciate the fact that these are youths whose parents purchase on the bikes. We want to make sure that the parents themselves understand what the rules are, what they've gotten into, and move forward from there. This is a difficult problem to address based on the volume of them that are out there. They're readily available to purchase online or purchase at stores. So again, we base most of in a situation like this, LaSalle Police always bases our approach on education awareness than enforcement. So we are doing a better job now of tracking the young people, the youths that we're stopping on the bikes, and then reaching out to the parents to do some education. I'm hoping the next couple of weeks to have some harder stats for you, and I can provide that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because I know even though in front of my house there, where I live on Heritage Drive, that they're pulling wheelies and stuff. So the sooner we can get out there, and you guys are doing a great job, and thank you for addressing it and moving it forward. It's not going to happen overnight because there is so many of them, but I certainly appreciate the effort. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. And just to add to that, every email that I've received, I have sent over to chief and deputy so that they're aware that we are receiving a lot of complaints. I think the hard part is it's the education piece, and I believe even our communications department has put out information in the past. And the problem is that parents, I don't think, realize that you're supposed to be 16, you need to wear a helmet, you need to follow the rules of the road, and there's all these things that aren't applying to any of these individuals right now. But the other issue I think we have is when it comes to enforcement, police are able to enforce the Highway Traffic Act, is that right? But that doesn't apply to our trail system. And so I'm receiving a lot of complaints from people, not only on our roads, from people who are afraid they're going to hit one of these kids, but also on trails where people are afraid of their safety, where they're out walking their dog and their dogs get tangled in these bikes, or they're coming around bends so fast they're knocking people over. And we've had a few incidents already. Is there something further we need to do as a town when it comes to our trails and sidewalks?
Not one to direct council what to do, or however, I can tell you my research that I've done reaching out to counterparts around the province. There are some municipalities that currently have bylaws that address power assisted bicycle usage on sidewalks and trails. Others are contemplating it from what I've been told. We have to appreciate this is a province-wide, nationwide issue right now. So I think for most municipalities, it's playing catch up and to get those bylaws out. But I can tell you some have already done so. And they do specifically address the use of power assisted bicycles on multi-use trails and have enforceable actions on them for that.
So maybe if council wants to consider a future report from our bylaw department on the trail system and sidewalks, and maybe what enforcement could be in place if we were to have the proper bylaw, is that something we're interested in? So we'll bring that back up if you would prefer that to come under notices of motion for a report. We'll bring that up then, okay? Councillor Burns, do you have something?
Yes, I only have one question. I think I know the answer, but I want to reconfirm it because it wasn't here when we started or put out the Malden Road tender. Is there a roundabout at Riem or a light? If somebody can answer that for me, please.
Mr. Cucci?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's going to be a light at Riem and Malden.
Thank you for that, so I can inform them. That's what I thought, but I want to.
I think just for further information, the reasoning is the size of the intersection and the land that we have to work with. We have I think it's our pumping station on one of the corners. So
Correct.
putting in a roundabout, we don't have the space for it, if that's correct.
I believe it was not just that, it was also the traffic counts when the future traffics and San Andres Parkway eventually ties into Riem. I don't think a roundabout would facilitate the traffic flows necessary for it to be effective, and a signal in this case would better facilitate the traffic in that intersection.
Thank you. Councillor Regis Spagnolo.
Thank you. Through you, I'm not sure who this would be directed to, but I did have some residents reach out in regards to the pickleball courts, the ones on Front Road. They were there on the weekend, and they said it was packed, so it was lovely to see that. But they were asking, is it possible to extend it from 10 p.m. till 11 p.m. when the lights come off? Because they said there was a lineup of people there enjoying the pickleball courts, and it ending at 10 o'clock, especially on a weekend, was a little bit discouraging. So they were just wondering, they wanted me to bring it forward to ask if there was any way to entertain that or explore that option.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we can take a look at that. We just have to confirm that park curfew relative to the parks bylaw. I believe it is 10 o'clock is the parks curfew, and that's why the lights are set that way. Should council wish to revise that, it would probably be a revision across one park or all parks. So we'd have to come back and provide council with a respective update relative to revising the bylaw so that we're in compliance.
And I think further to that, we did talk about this years ago, and I think it was the neighbors in the area as well who had put in a complaint about the lights being on too long. And I think that's why we ended up putting it at 10, but something we can definitely look into and get more information. Anything further? Nope. Councillor Segan?
Thank you, Mayor Malash. I'm getting a lot of questions regarding the state of fragmites in our waterways and drains. And I just wanted to know whether somebody here in administration or otherwise can give me information about what the strategy might be. I mean, I personally have gone to some of these sites, whether it's River Canard, which I believe IRCA has some responsibility or direction to give on that. But there are eternal waterways and drains that even I'm shocked at the growth this past year. So is there anything there that, any updates on what we're going to do, what the strategies are, what the timeframes might be?
So I'm not sure if administration is able to answer that tonight. I know Mr. Osborne has been handling that. I don't know if you've had any part in it as well. And I know Deputy Mayor has a lot of knowledge on Phragmites, and we've talked about it at the county level as well. But like I said, this is Jonathan's portfolio, so I don't know if you have, I don't know if there's anything to add for you tonight, or if we can maybe follow up with information.
Jonathan would have it. Brian, our drainage superintendent, McMillan would also have more information. I know he's working on doing some for migrant control. One thing I would like to mention is you will notice Phragmites will be likely highest growth right now during this time of year because we tend to cut it when we have staff availability. Also, though, we don't like cutting it too much in July or June because they grow back so fast and quick that you almost, I don't want to say it's you almost see more benefit when you cut it in fall or spring because they stay down longer. If you cut too much in the spring to summer months, it's almost like you have to cut them twice. It's almost like their growth is so quick. But Jonathan would be able to provide an update for you about that.
So we'll get a further information for you on that. On a side note, last week we had the chance to visit Fighting Island, and Mr. Mead, who helps take care of the island over there, has worked very hard on Phragmites in a very small section, and he's had a lot of success. So I'm going to connect him with administration as well. He did state, though, with the small section that he's been able to get control over, it took him years just to get to this point, and that the maintenance cost involved to continue with that is astronomical. But there is funding from upper levels of government that I know, again, administration has that knowledge and will do what they can with it. But we'll get Jonathan to follow up with some information, if that's okay. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor?
Comment. So 84 years ago next week, the Essex Scottish Regiment landed at Dieppe, and 3/4 of the men in Essex County, or the families, were affected. Families here were affected, and I just want people to, again, it's a local issue, stop, pause on Wednesday, and remember 553 men of the Essex Scottish landed at Dieppe, 53 answered the call next day, so 500 all ranks, officers, enlisted men from this area were either killed or captured, right? So it's just a day to pause, stop, and appreciate what we have.
Okay, no other comments, questions? Notice of motion then.
I'd like to make notice of motion that we look at our trail system and sidewalks in potential restriction or bylaw in regards to e-bikes and electric propelled vehicles.
Second by Deputy Mayor. Did you want to speak on it?
I think, Your Worship, in my previous life, I know that another municipality has a really good resilient bylaw that's available online. I'm not going to suggest that we do anything that municipality does, but I think it's a great starting point. And I think it's something that would give our officers and our bylaw enforcement people some tools, because like you said, I've been made aware of some very near collisions with people, and little dogs and those bikes don't do very well together when they tangle. So I'm sure we can do something.
All in favor? That carries. Did you want to comment? Go ahead.
No comment on this.
No, notice of motion?
Well, would this be the appropriate time to do for? Thank you. So through you, I would like to put forward a notice of motion to revise the curfew time for the pickleball courts on Front Road, perhaps other areas as well, but that's the one that the residents were concerned about the most, to see, especially during the summer months, maybe until fall, to revise the time, curfew till a later time, maybe 11 p.m. or whatever is more fitted.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Carrick, all in favor? That carries. Any other notices of motion? Deputy Mayor?
I have one, Your Worship, and again, as you're aware, the County of Essex is exploring dealing with data centers. I don't believe that there's a data center scheduled for LaSalle, but I believe with the upper tier doing something, we as this municipality have a responsibility to at least be prepared should a data center or the question of data centers come up. So I'd like to make a notice of motion that we direct administration to follow and work closely with the County of Essex as they do their data center exploration so that we can receive the information that they find not only provincially but internationally to bring to the town of LaSalle so that at least we are ready should a data center inquiry take place.
Just making sure we got it down right. Okay, so moved by Deputy Mayor, support by Councillor Segan. All in favor? And that carries as well. Any other notices of motion? We don't have a closed session to report out. Bylaw is that the following bylaw be given a first, second, third reading and finally passed, and it's 2026-040, being a bylaw to provide for the licensing, regulating, and governing of drain layer contractors. Moved by Councillor Richo-Spagnolo, support by Councillor Burns. All in favor? That carries. And then our confirmatory bylaw 2026-052 be given a first, second, third reading and finally passed. Moved by Councillor Reno, support by Councillor Segan. All in favor? That carries. Your schedule of meetings are listed below. Thank you and have a good night.